Hi, everybody. Dan Illman, Ashley Mailloux, kicking off the $1 pick six at Del Mar on Saturday with this race, the first of two graded stakes races on the card. This is the grade 3 Sorrento for 2-year-old fillies going 3/4 of a mile on the dirt. Only a field of 5. But Ashley, I think you can make a case for all of these.
Absolutely. Obviously, Bob Baffert has the two horses on the inside, both just with those run races under their belt, maiden victories. But even you start to go towards the outside when you look at Vodka with the Twist, White Sands, they have a little bit more depth to them with that extra race day experience. Both have been impressive. And then even Night Beacon, a horse that we've only seen go 4.5 there at Santa Anita, has some really sharp works locally. So, we talk about the compact fields, we get them a lot, but at least this one is competitive top to bottom.
All these horses who have been on the lead in their most recent starts. We'll throw up the Timeform US pace projector. No surprise. They're expecting this pace to be fast. Nooney is real quick out of the gate, however. And starting from the inside post, I think Hernandez is on a send, and Nooney may not even need to be sent. She's that fast.
She's very fast. Obviously, when you compare the times, a little faster than her stablemate, but different track. You wonder how that played. But I think the big thing is it's not like she was fast. She got an easy lead in that race off the get go, which I really think speaks to her speed. So I do think she'll be forward. But it's just a curious race because when you have these young horses, look at how they all have won. It's been on the front end. We don't have any true closers in here. And I think we're going to have to see if any of them can close. Also, now going further in distance to 6 furlongs.
Nooney is by First Crop Sire. Win, win, win. You sell for $1.8 million as a 2-year-old in training when you breeze a quarter mile at the sale in 20-1. That's how fast Nooney is, and here's how fast she was on the racetrack first time for Baffert. She created separation almost easily, and she wins this race in a canter with a very respectable buyer.
I mean, when you look at her, obviously the way she wins, very, very impressive. But the sale price is huge at 1.8, knowing kind of looking at her pedigree a little bit, at least looking at that first generation back. But the way she did it was very easy. We talked about her early gate speed. She was able to kind of get that lead and just build it up throughout the race. So curious to see her go further in distance here. Also curious to see if she will get pace pressure. I don't feel like she was really pressured in that debut, and that's where we're really going to see what she's made out of. But so far, what we saw was a pretty dazzling debut.
Amazingly enough, she sold for more than double the purchase price of the expensive Kasalu, who sold for $775,000 earlier this year and was very, very good in her debut as well. Let's watch this performance. Now, this race came at Del Mar. Remember, Nooney graduated at Santa Anita. This horse, again, showed very good early speed, is bred both sides for speed. Just a nice outing here with a 73 buyer, 3 to 5 on this day. It'll be interesting to see the tactics the Baffert train runners decide to use because both are quick.
Yeah, they're both very quick, and obviously this one was another one, gate to wire fashion. I think she was called upon a little bit more when you look at that performance compared to her stablemate, but a good showing nonetheless. She got a 73 buyer speed figure there, and you look at her work since then. She's had 2. They put her right back to work after that score. It wasn't very long between her works in that race, but I think she's obviously another one that you just know they can take that step forward, especially for Bob Baffert, second time out. It's tough when you kind of look at that in her stablemate. I find it tough to use her a little bit higher than her stablemate, just looking at it visually.
Night Beacon's dam has thrown nothing but fast horses. She's a half to a graded stakes placed 2-year-old sprinter. The dam was stakes placed going short on the dirt. She showed big speed going 4.5 furlongs, and she was no secret going off at 9 to 10. Never was pressured in the stretch. This is a test, stretching out a furlong and a half and facing other speeds all around her.
And she's also not as fresh as the other horses in here, right? You can see her race was back on May 10th, so she's had some time to regroup. And by no means is it a ton of time, but it's enough to wonder why she was put on the sidelines. Why doesn't she have another race under her belt? But again, I think the good thing is when you start to look at her workouts, she's had a lot of works, really no huge gaps in between them as well. So it looks like they were just kind of maybe prepping her for this. And I like that her drills as of late have been 5 furlongs, but they've even snuck a 6 furlong work in there here and there.
And they have been fast. The most recent, a bullet in 58 and change. Night Beacon should be ready to go, proving that a good horse can come from anywhere. You don't need to be a $1.8 million purchase price to be successful. The 4 Vodka with a Twist sold for $2,500 as a yearling, private purchase prior to her most recent start. And she looked good, Ashley, in the debutante at Churchill Downs, first time for Phil D'Amato, gate to wire score. And I don't mind her breaking outside of the 2 speeds in here. I think maybe she'll tuck in behind them.
Yeah, I think she might be okay rating. She obviously has shown that speed, though, in her several starts to date. And, you look at her, the interesting thing is, unlike the others, I mean, she's had tough circumstances in the fact that her last two, she's had to race over and off track, the slop and the mud, both at Churchill. Prior to that, we saw her in a 4.5 furlong race at Keeneland, and we just know anything can happen in those races. They can be extremely tough. And I just think for a debut, it was okay. Everything since then, she's done it the right way. So excited to see her over fast ground for once, as it looks like. And I do think she can rate. I think that she's got a lot of upside in here. And we know that experience can come in handy. She's the most experienced filly in the field.
White Sands completes the field for trainer Wesley Ward. What a super pedigree. She's by the Great Stallion Into Mischief, and she is a half-sister to Jackie's Warrior, one of the better sprinters we've seen in recent years. White Sands hasn't disappointed in either starts. Here she is beating the boys last time out in the Prairie Gold Juvenile, and she was in front in the blink of an eye, and she keeps on going. She really pours it on the stretch. She wins by almost 14 lengths, and the third-place finisher came back to place on turf in a stakes race at Monmouth with a 77 buyer. Super impressive. Big class test chipping to the West Coast.
It's been interesting to watch how she's been handled as well. Being a half to Jackie's Warrior, you make your debut at Belterra Park, She did it nicely. I wonder if they just, I don't know, were they looking for a spot and it made sense, or were they not sure what they really had? And then to see her kind of follow that big performance, she took a huge step up in figures when she went to Prairie Meadows and once again won for fun. I just wonder if we've seen the best from her and if she's continuing to kind of impress her connections. But with what we saw last time out, I actually like her on the outside. I think she has the ability that she does not need to be on the lead to win, just kind of looking at her running style. She is quick, though. But even when you look at the race at Belterra Park, she was on the front, but it was just a slow group, right? They didn't really go fast for a 5.5 furlong sprint like she was able to see at Prairie Meadows. So very intriguing. And we know Wesley Ward, dirt sprinters, that's his game.
Let's take a look at our top selections for the Sorrento. We're kicking off the Buck Pick 6 at Del Mar on Saturday. You're going with Nooney, and she looked like every bit of that $1.8 million purchase price, just breezing in the stretch. I have a feeling she can go faster without much issue.
I think so. I think it's the debate here. Do you go Nooney? Do you go White Sands? We kind of flip-flop here on the top two. I think there are cases to be made for both. I talked about Wesley Ward just doing so well with his sprinters. I just thought Nooney visually was a little bit appealing with that race out on the West Coast in California, the way that she did it. You see Juan Hernandez stick with this one, doesn't pick the stablemate. That's added confidence, as well as I would assume that he had the choice. And she just feels like a type that probably also wants to go further. So the additional furlong I don't think hurts her at all.
I'm with you. I'm going to focus on our top two selections in any kind of multiple race wagers, maybe a little bit of a better price on White Sands. I don't mind the outside post. As you mentioned, it gives the jockey some options if she doesn't maybe break as quickly as possible and if the pace is blazing. 5134 for me, 1542 for Ashley. We'll see if Nooney can make it 2 for 2 in the Grade 3 Sorrento. Good luck.